This is Hanno from Mantar, and you're listening to the Dan Shan Show.
Hey, Hanno, how's things in Florida, mate? Must be quite hot, I suppose. Like it always
Hot
is.
as balls.
Yeah.
Hot as balls, man. Yeah, seriously, this is the worst time to be in Florida. Like June, July, August, you name it. It's like the worst. Everybody thinks Florida is great, and it is fantastic. I really like it here, because, most of the time, most of the year is fantastic. But like in June, July, and August, it's something.
Yeah, I mean, I have been in those times, and you get that crazy storm at night, don't you? Usually like that quick blast of rain.
Pretty much thunderstorms every day.
Awesome.
But only for an hour, Yeah.
The
rest is just sunny, and as I said, hot as balls. But
freshens the air up. All right, mate. So onto the music. Now, you're releasing your new album, Pain is Forever, and this is the end on July the 15th. You've released a couple of singles from it. How has the response been to those awesome tracks, and how do you think the album is going to be received?
Well, the response so far was surprisingly good. You're always like a little nervous about that as an artist, musician, what the people going to say. And as we like risked a little bit more, the first three records, this is our fourth full length, and the first three ones, I'd say go very much in a similar direction. And this one might be a little bit different, might be a little bit more melodic, a little bit more catchy here and there. And people seem to love it. I'm almost surprised, how easy that went down. Fantastic. I'm very happy about the reaction so far.
When you find the reactions, do you get told the reactions, or do you go looking for it? Are you one of those kind of Googlers?
I'm not as bad as others, so I don't Google my band or I don't Google my name. But of course, you post something on social media in order to like share the new video or whatever, and of course, people comment on that. And so far, it's been like very, very good, which is great. And I think the album, I already got like some reviews from the US, UK, and mainland Europe and whatnot, and the reviews are fantastic so far. Like I said, I'm almost a little surprised, which is great. I really do like the album, and I put a lot of effort in it. But the reviews are fantastic.
Awesome. Now, you said this is the most diverse and interesting Mantar album to date. Can you explain why?
Well, I put way more effort in songwriting. I took more time to I grew up on classic rock. That's always been my thing. We're considered a metal band, which is great, but I see us more as a heavy band, not necessarily a heavy metal band. So I grew up on classic rock. So like songwriting, creating a good hook line and a catchy tune, always been my main priority. And I think with this record, the songwriting just got a little bit better, and we're not hiding behind extreme metal genre must-haves or classic scene things anymore. It's all about the song. I pretty much kicked everything out, like all riffs that didn't serve any purpose for the song. So I think the songs are just more on point this time. And B, I put a lot more effort in the production. I dared a little bit more in the studio. I played around more with like different guitars, different guitar amplifiers. You usually go to the studio and you dial in the sound and you record the whole record front to the end with the same sound. Mm-hmm. But due to the fact I'm recording most of the albums lately like this, and the EP we did previously in my house, I have the freedom to, pretty much reset the mixing board every time we recorded a song and start from zero, which is great, because it makes the songs sound a little bit more interesting, I assume.
Would you say that was, you had more time and you do things at home recently because of, dare I say, COVID?
No, I mean, I just like to record at home. I engineer it and produce myself. So it's just like, and I also have a very strong DIY punk background, so like taking care of your own shit is like in my DNA pretty much. I always did, so we do our own, merchandise, video ideas, and like artwork usually comes from our very own brain. Usually,
we'll get into that. Now, what themes have been covered on the album? What did you write about? You've been writing differently. What are the themes on the album?
Well, it's that's a very complex question. What I can tell you is dark times deserve a dark album, and that's what it is. I think it's also the darkest album ever. The title "Pain is Forever" and "This is the End" ain't no joke. In the beginning, it was like some sort of a cynical working title, And 12 months in, everything what could go wrong went wrong. There was nothing, like, it was super exhausting and tedious. There was a lot of fuck ups, a lot of insecurity with the songwriting. It was very, very difficult to make this album. It was a completely, like, we created a monster basically. And in the end, we realized Pain is Forever and This is the End. It's a pretty fitting title, and we kept it. You know, it was just like, I was in the hospital a whole lot. I had a lot of injuries. And you know, it ain't easy, you know, because I'm here in the US and the drummer is based in Germany, and, you know, plus haven't made money because you can't play for 2 years now. But that's not just us. It's for all musicians out there, or like a lot bars, venues, everything. So it was just a shitty time. And, you know, unfortunately, shitty times usually doesn't bring people closer together. It makes people even shittier. You know, that's the problem. So you just have to turn on the news, the TV, open the newspapers, whatever. And human stupidity, as usual, is a never-ending source of inspiration. You know, especially in these COVID, like all crazy-ass conspiracy theories floating around. And, you know, I think you could say the album is about the desire of people to get simple answers for very complex questions.
I suppose you got some real daft people in Florida, haven't you, as well, with conspiracies?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you have seen the artwork, but we wanted to make the artwork look like a flyer someone gets you into your hand when you walk down the street, and make it look like we're like a Scientology cult or something like that. And I think we did very good, you know, with this new logo and whatnot. But let me tell you, Dan, there's crazy ass people all over the world. Like, you know, it's a cliche, you know, there, especially here in the US, man. I met so many wonderful people here and so many crazy people here. It's in the same wherever I go in the world. It's you know, and, you know, lesson learned, just stick to the nice people, to the caring people, to the kind people.
Exactly right.
And they don't even have to think, like, they don't even have to have the same, like, you know, ideals like I do, or believe in the same political things or whatnot. It's not about that, but just treat each other with respect. And that's very rare, unfortunately.
Now, talking of COVID, can I mention that you were nearly a statistic of COVID, not because you had anything or you were ill, but because you nearly came to quitting the band and throwing it all in? Why was that?
That has nothing to do with COVID, actually. It was just
not
like,
the time, your frustration, no, nothing like that.
I mean, to be fair, it probably played in there, you know, that it was just like a very, like, shitty time for everyone. And it created a climate where everybody felt shitty. It was not just us as a band, but everybody around us, you know. So, but for us in particular, it was just like a chain reaction of bad things that happened, you know. Like when I flew to Germany in late 2020 in order to record this album, I had an accident and I tore my meniscus in my knee. So we couldn't make the record when we actually wanted to do it. 2 months later, I was completely healed. I flew back to Germany to give it a second try. And the first night of rehearsal, I slipped in a supermarket, and the very same knee, I tore my ACL. Christ. So again, back to the hospital, back on crutches for several months. No health insurance. Sorry for all the swearing, man. No, like, I had no health insurance over there in Germany, so it was very expensive. And after a time, like, it felt like the universe was kind of working against us. And we're not used to this, but because I mentioned this punk rock background, because we're usually on top of things. You know, we decide what we do, why we do it, when we do it, where we do it. But this time, it's just like, no matter how hard we tried, there was always a big obstacle. And after a time, I called up and reached the drummer and said, like, dude, I'm fine if this is going to be the end, but it's got to be on our terms. Like, you know, it's got to be it. And then we said, okay, let's give it another try. I can't come back to Germany due to COVID and my injuries and stuff like that. I'm going to create some demos here. I'm going to pre-record some demos, send them over. If you like it, you can record the drums in Germany. That's what he did with me on Skype and on the telephone. Amazing. When he was recording the drums. He sent over the tracks, and I did the rest in my house here in Florida, healed up. And this is what you're hearing. Pain is Forever. This is the end. It was a freaking shit show, for real. It's just like, it's not just the title. It feels like it very well also could have been the other way around, that we would not have made it, but we did, and we conquered this album, and now this album hangs at my wall like a big animal I shot or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a rough ride.
You should have just called the album Resilience. It's just incredible. What story.
That sounds like a weird tech death metal band. We're not like that.
So
we're a little bit more theatrical.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, with all that in mind and all that sort of like all that pain you've gone through, not just literally, literal pain, but everything else that's gone along with it. How do you feel you're evolving throughout your career as musicians, throughout the albums, and as human beings and fans of music? How are you evolving with age within the industry?
Well, first of all, like when it comes to songwriting, like I said, I don't have the feeling like I don't need to impress a certain scene or a certain following anymore. In the very beginning, it was very important for us to impress a certain underground elite scene, like as most underground bands have that urge, Nowadays, we did 4 records, 2 EPs and a live record, like within 8 years. I don't have to impress anyone anymore. If you don't like the band, that's totally fine with me. No hard feelings. Absolutely not. So, but that gives me the freedom to do whatever I like best. And for me, it was just like, I do like heavy metal a whole lot. I like my death metal, my black metal, and all that stuff. But as I said, for me, a good song is a good song is a good song, no matter what the genre is. And good songwriting always been for me the hardest currency in making music. So I try my very best. And when some people consider that, hey, that's too catchy, too melodic, that's fine by me. But I've always been Team Ace of Spades, The Boys Are Back in Town, or I don't know, Sharp Dressed Man. I like the hit singles.
Yeah. Now, just a bit of history for those that don't know, and I'm sure you get sick of being asked the origins of the band question, but I'm asking that question now. How did you and Erinch get together? And was it a friendship before the band, back in Bremen? Was it, how was it?
Well, we formed the band while we both were living and working in Hamburg, but we were originally from Bremen in Germany, which is 60 miles south from Hamburg.
Yeah.
And, we've been friends, I don't know, like 15 years, I think, before we started the band. We always wanted to play music together. It never worked out. And sometime 2012, 2013, I came back from a long trip in Southeast Asia where I had some like a self-finding punk rock experience thing. Where went to the jungle and see some grindcore bands playing in the jungle with like nothing. And they make literally gold out of shit. And they had a super healthy scene. They released everything on cassette tapes because they couldn't afford to press CDs. And still the shows were some of the best I've ever seen because everybody was so dedicated. And I came back to say like, hey, Rinch, I'm 30 now. And I don't want to make any compromises anymore because I play in bands since 94, since I'm 12 years old. And I always try to make it far with my music somewhat. And no one gave a shit, And then when we got together and said like, hey, let's not make any compromises. Just like let's play music that we like, that most of all entertains ourselves. It took off within months.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's we were friends before, and it was just like, it felt a little bit, hey, let's try one more time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And last time.
I bet you've had a few nights out on the Reeperbahn, haven't you, in Hamburg?
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. Usually just me because Erinch worked there. He worked for like the first years of the band. He still worked as a bouncer at the Reeperbahn. Yeah, right. So he totally knows the code of the street, Wow. And I just went by like, I got into the venues for free because he was the bouncer. I was probably most blackout drunk, but he had to stay sober because he had to work. So actually often after the rehearsals, he went straight to work, and I just we walked together, me drinking and he working.
So the band name Mantar, where does that come from? I've got to ask the question in a nutshell.
Well, the drummer Rinch, he's from Turkey. He is Turkish from Turkish origin.
Right. Okay.
So we found it would be a cool idea to give the band a Turkish name because that's kind of rare. And one day he came up with a name, I think, Mantar, which means mushroom or something like that. Right. Which some people think we're a freaking psychedelic band, but we're not a very drug interested band, except for a designer drug called beer, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But
Same.
but it was just a cool, tough, hard-sounding word, and it writes even. I always like band names where you can take your knife and carve it into a school desk or into a tree.
A cool logo
I like that.
Cool
Accept, AC/DC, Metallica. I like strong names, Venom, you name it. I always liked that. And Mantar seemed tough anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, with your background, Wiki says that you were influenced by the Melvins, Dog Throne, and Motorhead. What started you off, and what kind of music are you into now? What metal are you into? What non-metal are you into? You're saying you like all genres of music. What's going on your playlist right now?
Well, like some old-fashioned black metal still, of course, is fantastic. I live in Florida. Of course, I do like a lot of good Florida death metal. I, of course, like Obituary a whole lot, but also European. Like my favorite death metal band probably is Bolt Thrower. And I love that shit. I'm the kind of guy, I find a certain kind of beauty in almost all musical styles. For real. At least I find like a snare drum sound in an old James Brown tune where I think, oh, this is a beautiful snare drum or whatever, So I listen to all kind of music, really. But when it comes to this old-fashioned stuff, yeah, of course, I do like Motorhead a lot. Like, I'm probably the biggest sucker for AC/DC. I consider myself one of the biggest AC/DC fans. I have AC/DC tattoos all over my body. Really? And when I discovered the If You Want Blood, You've Got It, when I was 6 years old, my dad brought it home from a flea market, and that literally changed my life forever. And I knew what I wanted to do with my life since I'm 6 years old, and that's all due to AC/DC. So AC/DC, and then there's a long time nothing, and then the rest of the band's gone.
Cool. Now, your videos are always so cool as well. Now, do you have fun making them? I mean, Hang 'Em Low is what a video that is. I'm out of breath watching it, right? And do you have fun making them? And or is there a chore element behind it all?
No, I did not have fun making them. I hate making videos. This is a good example. I would be lying to you. No, there was absolutely no fun. It was just as exhausting and shitty as it looks. And that makes a good video, because you can't fake pain, and the reason why I'm working like I'm limping, why I'm walking so weird, is because I just got out of the hospital due to another knee surgery, and the doctor said, whatever you do, stay at home. No, I'm going to swim in the swamp, and run around in Florida. Yes, that's why it looks so weird, but no pain, no gain, I guess.
It's your concept, that whole video. What is it about? I mean, I've watched it many times. I just watched it like 10 minutes before the interview as well.
I don't really have an answer. I don't think it's important what it's about. It's more important what kind of feeling. I hope it gives you a feeling of uneasy, like stress and anxiety.
Definitely that.
This is what I wanted, because like I said, making this record was horrible, and the lyrical content also is very dark. So it made total sense to make a video that I wanted to share the pain in a way. I wanted to let the people know this is not going to be an easy ride.
Now, on the flip of that, Odysseus is a more flowery, happy more event, right? I mean, it's like a church environment. It's more bright. What's that? That was a cool video as well. Did you just drop that?
This is more like, it is a very, very almost like satirical, ironic video, because it looks like we shot that in some weirdest fantasy church in Germany. And you mentioned the record, and also that Florida reference, it looked like a cult. And we wanted to maintain that image with the artwork and with the video. That's why we went for white, because not black is the dangerous color. White is the dangerous color, So this video is very bright, very white, and very bright colors. And that, I think, makes it in a weird, pretty eerie. That word would work well here. Yes. And, and it's obviously not our regular outfits. I think we look like we've been brainwashed.
It's a nice hat. Have you still got that hat?
Yeah, no, I borrowed it, but I put the flowers and the antlers and the bones around it. So it looks like a cult. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Now, I saw recently on your Insta tapes. Now, more bands as vinyl are releasing tapes. Now, can you imagine when CDs first came out, someone saying, we'd hop back to these formats? Is it nostalgia or a moneymaker? What is it? Be honest.
Nostalgia, 100%. I grew up on tapes. And I care more about tapes than I care about vinyl, to be quite frank. I always collected tapes, and I mentioned it before. Same. I'm a huge AC/DC fan. When I was 10, 11 years old, that was like, let's say 92, 93, 94, you still could go to like a music store like Tower Records or whatever, and could buy an album either on cassette or CD. And the cassette usually was like $20 and the CDs was 30 or 35 bucks. So I, like, being a kid, of course I bought the cassettes, then they got completely out of the game by the CD. But like, as long as I could, I always bought cassettes. I had a Walkman. It made total sense to me. And I just like it. There's also my first recordings for bands I used to do on like 4-track, 8-track recorders and whatnot. So cassette is a very, very important thing for me. Yeah, personally.
There's something nice.
It sounds like shit. It's great.
There's something chunking quality about them than a vinyl, isn't there? Something like chunking, clicky in your hand,
Yes, the tape has a certain sound. It's someone like, I don't know, you can really abuse a tape way more than you can abuse a vinyl and a CD.
It in the back
that's
of the
what
car.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You can just like slam it against the wall and nothing's going to really happen to it. And it's just, and also, hey, mixtapes were a huge thing when I was young. If you wanted to impress your friends or a girlfriend, you made a classic mixtape. And if only one of your friends could afford the new album from a certain band, all the other bands showed up with an empty cassette and dubbed it.
So true. My childhood as well.
It was musical liberation. It was freedom.
It was the first ever Spotify. Now, is there anything you miss about Germany? The beer halls, the bland food, and what's the biggest difference between like Europe and US that you've noticed?
People are very different, it's just like, especially like, I mean, there's a huge difference in people like between the countries in Europe, like, but I'm referring right now to Germany the most. I do like living here in the South in the US. Most people don't know that, but like Southern hospitality really is a thing. The people are very nice and kind here, and in Germany, if you walk down the street and you ask a stranger, hey, how you doing, man? Like, they think you want to rob them. Or something like that, or you go into a bar and you just sit next to a stranger and say like, "Hey, how has your day been?" That's a completely normal thing here in the U.S., and I got used to that very quick, So, but what I miss, of course, I miss friends and family, because I moved over here when I was already 30 plus years old, and you know how it is, making the strong connection, friendship that usually happens early in life, and of course, I do miss that a lot, because 99% of all my friends and family still is in Germany, but due to the fact my drummer's over there, I'm usually there like 3 or 4 times a year, so I get my fair share.
You must miss Emmerich quite a lot. You're very close. You work very closely. No?
We spend so much time together. Trust me. We're good with, like, apart from each other from time to time.
That's cool. All right, I understand.
Yeah.
Now, talking about that,
we survive.
Obviously, you spend a lot of time on the road. So, touring and festivals, what's happening? Tell me what the plan is this year.
Well, we're going to take it easy. I don't really trust the whole thing yet, that everything's going to go back to normal. I wish it would, don't get me wrong, but we have just a few shows booked, like for some festivals for July, and then play some club shows in mainly Germany, some European shows like France, maybe. We're going to go to Turkey and Copenhagen, and just a few shows to get back into the saddle. We haven't played for 2+ years, and B, like, we have as most bands postponed and canceled tours within the last 2 years. So we want to know what's going on. So we're just taking it easy, like, play just like maybe until the end of the year, like maybe 20 shows or something like that. It reaches over here in Florida right now. We're rehearsing, trying to get back in the saddle. And then we're going to fly to Seattle the weekend after the next to play Northwest Terror Fest. Awesome. And then we're going to fly to Europe. Yeah.
So show-wise, we know it's just you and Emmerich on stage. Has there ever been a time where you thought, let's get some live players in and take the strain off? I think you once said that Volume is your third member of the band, but have you ever thought about getting anyone else? And obviously, when you started the band, were you ever thinking this is going to be more than a 2-piece?
Well, we hoped so, but in the very beginning of the band, no one else wanted to join, quite frankly. It was just like, we were 30 plus years old, and everybody, circle of friends was like, oh, big effing news, another band. Yeah, can't wait. So no, we were left alone there. No one wanted to join. But then we really, really quick figured out it works very well with just the two of us, because then it's not about the quantity of musicians, it's about the quality and the chemistry between the musicians. So even if we would have a third and fourth member, yes, we could do crazy things, but would it be better? I don't know, because it might water down the certain chemistry that makes this band great, because someone else brings something on the table that's on the plate that's not necessarily no need for it,
I get it. Now, you've played some big festivals in your time. Was there ever a time when you played a festival, maybe at the beginning of your Mantar career, that you met a band or a band member backstage, or someone was in VIP and you were like, that's, anyone?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was very cool to see, for instance, Dale Crover or the Melvins, that was a thing. Or also, let me think, well, a few years ago, I met Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse. That was pretty cool. He was such a sweet guy, and but I'm I try not to get on people's nerves. We have a very Irinch it's a huge drum nerd, and he is a huge Taylor Hawkins fan, and he met Taylor Hawkins at Rock am Ring, Rotterdam Park in Germany, where we played, and we have nice pictures of the two of them. That was, of course, a big thing. But other than that, I'm usually not that starstruck, because I know how hard it is and how much work it is to be on the road. And so, I'm very well aware of the fact that most of these superstars, quote unquote, a lot of them also would rather be home sometimes with their kids, family, or whatever.
I understand. Now, what's the craziest thing someone has said about you or the band that's completely untrue? Because I know, obviously, might have got a bit of flack for that Nazi art from the modern art of setting ablaze, did you? Or what's something, did someone pick up on that? Or what's the craziest thing?
Well, first of all, that was we picked that piece of art in order to make a statement out of it, but that Nazi art, I don't know if that's really considered Nazi. Yeah, it was the beauty behind this piece of art is it was done to impress the Nazi party, but the Nazi party hated it and call it how you say it, the German word is entartete Kunst, which means art that ain't really art, and then forbid it, and it got banned. And that's a very irony in the story.
Yeah.
So we use that to show that it's not a very smart thing to follow any sort of leader, and it doesn't matter if it's a right wing, left wing, whatever wing, as soon as someone gets on a stage and says, I have the answers and the solution for every problem in the world, I usually I don't trust that thing usually too much. And the biggest stuff, weird stuff we have heard about the band, not too much, actually. I don't think the band is important enough for I don't know what, the usual stuff. Hey, I heard they're very arrogant, which of course is completely not true, but that's what you say about a band.
Yeah.
That's what you say about musicians, especially when you're on the road and this is the 25th show of a tour, no matter how hard you try, it's impossible to drink 1 pint of beer with every single member in the audience.
Of course.
And of course, there's going to be one or two, but I'm always super polite. I try to shake every hand. I take every picture, whatever. Of course I do. That's part of the deal. But other than that, no, nothing really crazy. I don't think we have offer a lot of material for good rumors.
I get you.
Too boring.
Not yet.
Too boring. Yeah.
Now, tell me what one song from the Mantar repertoire sums up the band the best. Just one track. If you have to play an alien from another planet, this is our band. What track do you play?
Try Era Borealis from Ode to the Flame, our second album. Check out Era Borealis. That's a catchy tune.
It is.
Always people seem to like that. I like White Nights a whole lot from the first record.
Yeah.
Try Seek and Forget from the third record.
My favorite.
And and from this record, Odysseus, Hang 'Em Low, and Grim Reaping. That's also one of my favorites.
Now, finally, chance to speak directly to your people. What's the message?
Well, first of all, go check out the new record, man. You heard the story, how painful it was. It really earned and deserves the title Pain is Forever, and This is the End. So go check it out, have some sympathy, and get sucked into the downward spiral of Mantar.
I love it. Hanno, awesome chat, mate. Thanks for joining me on the show. Great to catch up. Look forward to release.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much, Dan.
For those who are about to lose.